yesterday and the world is waiting. Move along to the song, singing in your soul. Feel the beat, clap your hands, let it take control. All you need, all you want, are you ready to find your way? Cause every day is a new day. And everything's going your way.
That's fantastic.
Keep it together.
Another real one.
It's getting better. Walk through life and move ahead to your destination. Shine so bright. Be the light.
Well, hi. How are you?
Very good.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for the invitation.
It's a
Isabel.
very busy time of the year, huh?
Busy time of the year for me now. Yeah. Well, I'm heading off back to New Zealand for Christmas in a week or so. Second time in about 30 years.
For how long?
So going back for about a month, which would be great. I mean, Mum and Dad are getting on now, and it's I suppose it's the one regret I have, and anybody will feel over Christmas time. You know, there's so many Irish now out in New Zealand, Australia, that they'll be missing their parents this time of year. So I thought, no, make the effort and go back and see them this
Very
year.
good.
So yeah, looking forward to it, but mad busy this time of
Great.
year.
Well, you get out of all the shirts business and...
I won't, because there's so many people ordering them from New Zealand. So no, it's just my Christmas period. You know, if you're in the retail, and as you know, I'm sort of in the rag trade now. So it's
How
a
did
busy
all
time.
came about?
I suppose I always liked clothes. I mean, you know, Mum had always been into fashion. She was the manager of a sort of a fashion house years ago. I was always sort of, I suppose, looking at Mum and Dad when they're going out, if they're going to the races or whatever, getting an opinion of something. And I always liked clothes. Every time when I was on rugby tours, I'd always be shopping around. And I mean, over the years in RT, people just come up to me, especially women afterwards, looking for their husbands or boyfriends or partners, and say, where'd you get that tie, that shirt? And I ended up directing them to a number of, I suppose, high fashion brands that I represented at the time, sponsorship-wise. And then about 3 years ago, I said to my colleague Lee, I said, why can't I do this myself? And he said, exactly. So we sourced the materials, we sourced the manufacturer. Like, I want to be hands-on. I just don't want to put my name to a shirt. So, I mean, I sit down right at the design stages, and like this, you know, wanted something a bit different, sit down and say, look, we want the material, we want the quality, talk about pricing,
And
go to
did
the
you find it
warehouse.
hard?
Really hard. Still finding it really hard, because it's something new. And people have been in the rag trade, people talk about
It's
being
a
in the
tough
rag
trade to be
Tough
in.
trade.
Yeah.
I mean, margins are small. People think that when the shirts, but I mean, if you take into account what you're going to get manufactured, what you're going to bring it in, delivery charges, agent charges. So in that sense, it's been a lot harder than I thought.
But is it
also
rewarding now?
Yeah, rewarding now, because I want to learn everything about it. I mean, I like going over and saying, look, I don't like that inlay on that shirt, or let's do a nicer white, or I'm still getting to terms. The material's the hard thing, because I wanted to bring in a quality product at a decent price. I mean, that was at the end of the day. I'd spent my life buying, at times, cheap shirts or too expensive shirts. You know, the cheap ones would last 2 or 3 weeks, and then threads would come out, buttons would fall off, they'd shrink or whatever. So I wanted something for guys that were a bit older, that fitted well, that would iron well, and
Well,
they
they're
look smart.
fantastic. They're getting great
Yeah,
feedback.
great
Arnott's
feedback.
is selling out all the
Arnott's
time.
selling out here. I've been up and down the country. Everybody's restocking them. Now,
How do you sell to New Zealand? Sorry, how did that happen? Do you have an online shop as well?
no, we'll have next year. No, just
Okay.
friends coming on Facebook. I mean, Facebook's the new online. So
Absolutely.
friends come on Facebook and they say, you're coming back for Christmas. Oh, God, we're going to get a Pope shirt, because great presents for family of mine, or
that's
relations or friends, you know, like to wear one of my... I mean, my father, it'd be a buzz from my father and my brother especially, because
They must
they'll
be
be able
so
to wear
proud.
their own shirts. Well, they're about, you know, they'll be able to say, because I was... Funny enough, I was in the States there, and I was walking out of Macy's, and a guy came up and he said, I love that shirt, where can I get one? I said, it's mine. He said, I know it's yours, but where can I get one? I said, no, it's actually my brand. So I'd love to expand. I mean, like, I'm not going to be the new Tommy Hilfiger or whatever, but I'd love to expand into
How
maybe...
do you know that?
Well, true.
You don't know.
I'm pretty confident I won't be. And I can't, it's only a small, and I keep going back to retailers and saying, look, I can't give you any more, because I'm financing. My parents generally said, let me a few bob to get this started. So I owe them back, and it's just building the brand in year one.
Okay,
That's it.
so
But exciting new division. But I mean, I want to get away. I've always
Do you
been
think
about
you're going to do more shirts? Or are you gonna
ties
stop,
and
or?
ties, blazers, and the little pocket handkerchiefs. So I'll move into it. But look, I've always been about breaking the stereotypes of rugby players, you know. I mean, you know, like, I mean, that's always been my life. I mean, I knew I grew up as a sort of a rugger bugger, so to speak, but I've always been a bit different, you know. A lot of my friends going up through university were in bands or in the arts or whatever. You know, I'm filming a documentary in the new year for RT on my love of outsider art, which is art from the prison systems or mental health. You know, the fashion, the kind of writing the books.
Well, that's exactly what I wanted to ask you about. Fashion, one thing, but writing books for kids.
Well, that's a bit of a crazy one, because at the time when I first started the book, way back, the first book, I've done 7 now. The first book was in 1987, and at that stage I was kind of an aspiring All Black or something. I thought, oh God, what have I done writing books for kids? It's not the done thing when you're meant to be a big sort of rugged, you know, rugby player, and then you're suddenly turning up to training, people saying, oh, what's with the kids' books? So that part of it was quite difficult, although it was, you know.
But how did it start? Did you always have it in you?
I always was very creative. I was always very creative. I mean, I always was writing story. I mean, probably to the detriment of my education. I was always be drawing pictures and writing books. And I remember I had a property business when I was younger in New Zealand, and one of my secretary's young daughter sadly eventually passed away with leukemia. But every week when she was down getting chemotherapy, I would write these little stories about it. And she loved, in her days off, she would go to the beach or to the seaside. And so she loved these little characters, and I would come up with little characters, a shark or a whale or the Barracuda brothers or Marcus Mudcrab and little stories. So the doctors started coming back to me and saying, look, you know, will you send more copies? Because the kids love these stories. Not just Sarah was her name, not just her, but the kids. So, as I say, sadly, Sarah passed away, and the publishers came to me and said, look, we'd love to publish the books because kids love them. So I said, well, look, if you publish them, then I'll donate all the proceeds to, at that stage, the New Zealand, I think, Children's Leukemia Trust or something. But it went like, I mean, they have viral now. It went crazy. It went crazy because, you know, at that stage, you know, I was a big name rugby player. And it was so unusual that I remember I came
something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and I come home, and I mean, I remember there was OB units outside my university flat at the time, and I thought, you know, first thing I thought is had they suddenly been killed, because these big vans with TV cameras and that from Australia and New Zealand, and it really focused on, they had pictures of me or shots of me on rugby days getting into fights or whatever, of a bloody nose or whatever, and then writing the book. So we raised thousands the first one, and since that time I've written another 6, always for a different charity, always for a different children's charity.
So there's never a profit really for you?
No, I don't want a profit.
I
to the day I die, I never take a profit out of kids' books, because I originally promised that to this young girl, and I'll stick to my word, you know. So I mean, it's a case this year's one, little hippopotamus.
Fantastic.
Yeah, little hippo.
So where can we get them?
Tesco's are generously going to run them out, and all the proceeds go to Pieta House. $3.99, nice little stocky filler.
Fantastic.
I mean, it's important that all the money goes. You know, I know some of these things you pick up and say some percentage too, but everything goes to Pieta House. I don't know that I'm.
So talking about kids, what about you? Now, you're writing the books for children. Well, don't ever settle.
Well, that's the old age question. That's the question. I don't go into that. You know, I keep that side of my life private. But it is one of the things people say to me, "What ages are they for?" And I say, "Well, I don't know, because I don't have kids." I mean, yeah. I mean, like every man that you'll probably interview of a certain age would I like to have kids? I'd like to have kids. Absolutely.
I don't think with men, especially these days, the age is important at all. I think some men either really want to have a family, or they might decide they don't, and they're happy the way they're.
I don't know about that, and I suppose it'd be a good one for a discussion for another day. But no, I don't mean that sort of flippantly. I just mean that as you get a bit older, it's the kind of thing that men, as they get older, would say, look, okay, yes, in theory they want the children, and yes, they would love to have the children, but you're getting to an older age, and you know, can you put the energy into it? You know, I agree. The sort of
I tell you, it's full on.
Well, it's full on, and I mean, the only advantage is, I suppose, is when you're a bit older, that you're more financially secure, and you're also secure enough in a sense that you say, okay, maybe the demands of work. I mean, people in their 30s or whatever, or even in their 40s, to have children, it's hugely demanding, as you know yourself, I'm sure. Time-wise,
changes your life completely.
People are just passing each other in the hallway, and that's what it's like for 15 years. And the funny thing is, you talk about immigration, but I mean, now there's a lot of people in Ireland will come to me and say, you know, we raised our kids, now they're leaving. you know, and that's a tough one as well. And I get it, because I've spent, you know, the best part of my adult life in another country, only seeing my parents once or twice every 2 years. We talk every week, but it's tough.
It's different.
You know, and that's what people are facing now, with people heading off to Canada or Australia and maybe not coming back. And I'm sure parents are devastated by that. But.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually overheard a conversation in the restaurant the other day about couple talking about their children. They said, she's never going to Australia, because what we're going to do if she meets an Australian guy?
Yeah.
She's going to go.
Yeah.
And it's true.
Well, that
like
was
they
it.
actually worry because people leave. All my friends are all over the world. You actually don't even know sometimes where they're living.
And
I guess
understand.
thanks to Facebook, we all keep in touch. It has its pros and.
But it's not, and
But it's not the same.
I'm sure 100%. I'm sure if you're a mother and your daughter goes off in a year to Australia and meets some Australian guy, and she gets the message back, I met someone.
I'm not coming back.
Oh yeah, nothing against people overseas, but I mean that's a tough one for parents, and I mean, and I get it now. I mean, when I first come over here, if you were seeing someone from Ireland and you said, look, I might have to go back to New Zealand, and they weren't prepared to go with you, I just figured, oh well, they just don't care about you enough. But it wasn't that. It was that it must be very difficult to go and live on the other side of the world, and have your life there. But
and is it hard to date these days?
It's hard to date. I don't know. I'm not going. Don't try to look. I've been interviewed by every, Ryan Tuberty, Brendan O'Connor. I know you don't try to weasel
and they
that
don't
out.
talk about it.
It's called to do the Brent Pope now. Like, and people have used on TV. It's just I don't. No, that's I've look. I mean, my mental health problems and that issue of my life, those things are well documented, and I keep that side. I keep that side of my life really private, Isabella, because I think it's private to the people that you may date or may have dated, and I don't want to put them. I'm out in the public eye, so I expect a certain amount of speculation. Some of that's hard because some of the times you get judged, and I that's very difficult for me. And people talk about Twitter or Facebook or whatever. I go on and I try to get along with anybody. I mean, I'll go into bars or whatever, and you may be abused by people that don't know you, and that's hard. I mean, people don't get that.
Judge easily.
Yeah, people don't get that sometimes. So certainly, as far as I suppose partners in my life, or people that I'm seeing, or people that I've seen, or whatever, I just think they like to remain private. I always find it very difficult when people come on programs or whatever and talk about, oh well, this is the person I'm seeing, because they may be hurting someone that they used to see, or so I think it's a very private thing. Okay, when you're going to get married or when you're going to get engaged, absolutely, I'll embrace the nation. But
fair enough, we're going to wait for those news.
Yeah, you're not going to get out of me. You'll be the first one to get anything out of me like that. But no, it's out of respect. It's absolutely out of respect for people in my life. It's a wonderful people in my life. So I leave it at that.
Sure.
So
thank you so much. It was lovely having you, and enjoy your time away.
Yes, and Merry Christmas to you.
Thanks. Cut. You are so difficult.